Hello, world, and welcome to this episode of the RONJIRU Japan podcast, the place where we provide insights on Japan from people who know Japan. Some of the most insightful people out there are comedians, which is why I'm happy to be joined by our guest, Saku Yanagawa. He's a stand-up comedian based in the USA who has performed and headlined at major venues across America and in some other countries. He joins us from Chicago to discuss his story, talk about why stand-up comedy is important to him, describe some of the differences between comedy in Japan and America, and much more. Our guest is the very funny Saku Yanagawa. I'm your host JT, and this is Ronjiru. Let's discuss Japan. Saku Yanagawa, thank you for joining us on the RONJIRU Japan podcast. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
You are a stand-up comedian, writer, and podcaster with your radio show based in the windy city of Chicago. We'll talk a lot about your background, how you got started in stand-up comedy in a second language, in another country. We'll talk about all that. But first, let's start off by talking about how things are in America. Your Instagram suggests that the comedy clubs are opening up again. And you've been active. What has it been like during the past 15 months or 18 months with the coronavirus? And what's the comedy scene like lately?
Well, I still remember in middle of March last year, the whole city shut down. And it's obviously comedy club closed. Then I basically lost my job on stage. And I guess in July, it reopened with limited capacity. So I went back to the stage. But somehow, the second wave came in October, end of October. It shut down again. Then in March, it came back finally. Then right now, people get vaccinated, and it's kind of back. So 100% capacity, and I get up on stage almost every day, and tickets sell out quickly all the time.
Oh, really? People are desperate to get back to something fun.
I think so. People are finally remember how to enjoy themselves.
Right. So you had some time to write your book while you were downtime from comedy.
Yeah, that's why I can pay the rent right now.
Sure. That's obviously very helpful. Okay, let's talk about you and how you got involved in the world of comedy. Because before you were a comedian, you were a rising star in baseball here in Japan. Could you tell us that story?
Yeah, actually, my father is a baseball coach in high school.
Oh.
So even since I was born, I had to start playing baseball with him. Then I played baseball, and I wanted to be like a MLB player, like Ichiro, Daisuke Matsuzaka, Hideki Matsui.
Right.
So I practiced every day. Then I even moved to Tokyo when I was 13 years old to focus on baseball, and I was in dormitory. Then, but I couldn't make it because of that elbow injury, so I had to give up. Yeah.
What was your position?
I was a shortstop, basically. Yeah.
So you gave it up, and then what?
So I was kind of at the loss. Absolutely. I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
Since I played baseball whole of my life. Then I went to the university, Osaka University. Then I was watching a TV program in my apartment by myself. And it was about a Japanese stand-up comedian whose name is Ryo Koike, who's been doing stand-up in New York City for probably 2 decades. Then I was like, wow, he was cool. So I was looking for him in the internet, and I sent him a message. Then I was like, hey, I want to do it. And I flew to New York next day.
Did you speak English then?
Well, I mean, to pass the entrance examination, I cramped, so I knew kind of grammar, and but obviously it's not good enough for being on stage, like as a stand-up. It's not good enough to make people laugh in my second language, but it doesn't mean anything. It didn't mean anything for me.
Right. What was it? I hear his name a lot, by the way, Ryo Koike. What was it specifically about what he was doing that made you want to do that too?
Well, I just thought, not only him, but also like stand-up comedian, make people laugh, especially people who have different background and different, for me, language and a different perspective with only just one microphone. So no music, no, like, I don't know, like a magic technique, just words.
Right.
I thought that was really cool, and I want to do it. Also, I kind of knew every single comedians I knew from movies did stand-up before became an actor.
Many of them did, yes.
Yeah.
So what, why was that important to you? Was it just that it was, it looked cool to have just one mic and make people laugh, or was it like a challenge or something you wanted to challenge yourself to pursue?
Well, actually, at that time, I studied theater and music in Osaka University. Then
I see.
I was like, well, should I be the playwright or like a critique? But to be like that, I thought I really needed to be on stage anyways.
Right.
For example, like there's a baseball commentators in Japan too.
Yes.
And they use a professional baseball player. That's why they can talk about baseball, right? So that's why I thought, to talk about play and entertainment, I should be on stage first.
You see.
So I was kind of looking for the opportunity. Stand-up comedies, obviously we can get up on stage by myself, and I don't have to find anybody.
Sure.
Yeah, just one microphone, and it was really simple and efficient. That was
right. I guess that makes sense. Was that something that was not available in Japan?
Well, as you know, stand-up comedy culture is not even big in Japan. I think, I can say manzai is part of stand-up comedy.
Yes.
But in my case, I thought I wanted to work kind of globally at that time. So yeah, that's why stand-up comedy is the best for me at that time. It's still too.
So you went to, you said New York to meet with Ryo Koike. And but then after a time you moved to Chicago, a major comedy city.
Yeah.
Is that why you moved to Chicago? Had you just moved there suddenly, or had you performed there before?
Well, actually, I knew Chicago is kind of comedy capital because many legendary comedian came from Chicago, like Second City. So I knew just the name of Second City. Then I did some open mics in New York City, and there was a visiting comedian from Chicago. And she introduced open mic in the Second City. Next day. So I was like, yep, I can fly.
Yes.
Yeah. So I flew to Chicago next day. Then I fell in love with Chicago immediately.
Sure. I've seen elsewhere that you said Chicago reminded you of Osaka. You felt home there immediately.
Exactly. As it's a second biggest city.
Right.
Well, actually, not biggest city. The comedy capital. Both city became big after World Expo, and the rivers and food capital, and people are kind of nice. I thought, well, yeah, I'm gonna live here.
The Kuidaori culture.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Yes.
That's how I gained weight.
Right. Yes. For my listeners who don't speak Japanese, Kuidaori is a very unique to Osaka kind of culture. It's a food culture, eating lots of food that tends to put on the calories. Lots of carbohydrates, right?
Yeah, good
Yes.
explanation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Quick question. It's kind of a dumb question. You've just taken off your hat. I was going to ask you, Cubs or White Sox?
Oh, obviously.
Always Cubs. You got your Cubs shirt on, obviously. That was a dumb question. Sorry.
Yeah.
So you got your break in the Chicago comedy scene doing open mics, not at auditions, or how did it work for you?
Actually, there's so many bars, having an open mic in the city in Chicago. Probably we can do like 4 or 5 shows, 5 mics at night. So I hit kind of many mics, and luckily, I got found by a comedian who runs the show at the Laugh Factory.
Oh.
So I had a chance to do a spot in Laugh Factory.
Wow, the Laugh Factory, great. So obviously you see a guy on TV, you think, yeah, I think I'll do that. You get on a plane, you go to a foreign country and decide to do something that is difficult to begin with, but requires linguistic skill, which you didn't have enough of at the time. You are a man of courage, or a man of conviction, or both. But to use a baseball metaphor, since then, you've been hitting it out of the park for many of your performances. Let's take a look at a brief clip from one of your sets.
Yep.
Saku-san, thank you for giving me permission to use this. And to YouTube, this clip is being used with the permission of the copyright holder. So everyone, the very funny Saku Yanagawa.
Hi, my name is Saku Yanagawa. I came all the way from Japan. Have you ever seen Japanese guy on a comedy show before? No. Hey, me neither. Anyways, I'm so happy to be in America here, because America is great. Yeah, America is great. But I think recently America uses the term hero too much. Right? Because I went to the restaurant the other day, then I found a poster at the entrance. It said, wear mask, be a hero. Are you sure? Can you guys be a hero just wearing a mask? Alright, if so, we Asians have been a hero for fucking 40 years. But I think a hero is a matter of perspective. For example, your greatest hero during World War II is my grandpa's greatest enemy. Alright, that's a bit harsh, but true. Because 10 years ago, my American friend took me to the Wrigley Field for the first time. And at the beginning of the game, announcer said, ladies and gentlemen, please rise and take your hat off and give it up for World War II hero Sergeant Mike Smith. And everyone stood and clapped like, woo! But I didn't know if I should. Because, you know. But I didn't want to be disrespectful, so I just stood and clapped twice. One for each bomb. What? Too soon for you guys? Yeah, but my point is, we should stop Asian hate. Right? So that we Asians can go back to hating each other. Like we've done for 1,000 years. That's our game to play, so leave us alone.
Great stuff and very funny.
Thank you.
So you've performed at many major clubs and venues around the U.S. You've also headlined at several of them. I heard that you do something like 400 performances a year. Is that still the case?
Yeah, I mean, obviously during pandemic I couldn't be like that, but you know, after pandemic I would do it for sure, like easily.
So you're
because Chicago has a lot of shows. Yeah,
you're always on the road.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to be busy.
How's that
Yeah.
working out?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I get just $25 from the show, and I have to transport by Uber.
Right.
Then an Uber fee is much more expensive, but stage time is really important, so I don't care about money. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So I get up on stage. That's what I want.
Then I'm going back a little bit in time, but in 2017, you toured in Africa. I think was it the Kigali International Comedy Festival?
Yeah, actually, yeah.
How was that?
Well, actually, I kind of got surprised. Rwanda has a super amazing stand-up comedy scene.
Really?
People are really energetic, and they knew a lot about stand-up, especially American stand-up.
Right.
So actually, at that time, I was looking for the opportunity to do like a big show, to get the visa for America. Then, so then my friend, who is Kenyan comedian who has been active in Japan, called me. He was like, "Hey, are you interested in Kigali International Comedy Festival in 2 weeks?" I'm like, "Yeah, I want to do it, but how can I go?" He said, "You should do some paperwork and get vaccinated, and you can go." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna do." Then
Right on.
I flew. Then luckily, I could have a chance to do a shows, like big shows in Uganda, right next to Rwanda, and Kenya. I was on TV in Kenya too.
Are the audiences different from the audiences in America in terms of their sense of humor and perhaps the things that they value?
Yeah, completely different. Well, it actually, they reminded me of like Def Jam comedy in
Really?
90s. Yeah, so because the stage has a drummer, then the drummer or DJs. Then when we say the punchline, DJ goes like, doo-doo. Yeah, and then people really like laugh so hard when they find funny. Then, but if they didn't find funny, they kind of booed. So it was really like energetic, and I really enjoyed it.
Fantastic. Then you did some touring in Europe. I believe in 2018 you were at the Edinburgh Festival Fringe.
Yeah.
How was that?
That was a good festival. Yeah, that's good. So obviously, British sense of humor is completely different from American. So I kind of wanted to try out my jokes for months. But so I made it a rule to drink Scotch whiskey if I bombed.
I see.
Then I end up drinking 54 Scotch whiskey
Good
every
Lord.
night. So
Wow.
I know much about Scotch whiskey. I'm kind of expert right now.
Right. Obviously, yes. Your liver is thanking you for that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then the next year in 2019, you were the first, I think, Japanese comedian at the Breakout Comedy Festival.
Oh yeah, that festival is amazing. It was the Second City and NBC organized the show, and yeah, when I got selected, I was like, yes, I made it. Yeah.
Yes, was that a broadcast? I don't know enough about the show. Is it broadcast nationally?
Yeah.
Oh.
So yeah, many people found me probably.
And then the same year, I think, back here in Japan, you were the first stand-up comedian ever to perform at the Fuji Rock Festival back here in Japan.
Yeah.
That's like, what, 40, 50,000 people?
Yeah, exactly. But also, that was the first time to get ignored by 45,000 people in my life.
Oh, really? It didn't go so well.
Well, I mean, yeah, because I opened up for like The Cure, British band.
Yes.
Then, the festival was held in like mountainous area, so there is no internet connection basically. But I could see many people use their cell phone swiping me left.
Oh no.
So yeah, because it was tough show, but it's not because of the environment. It's not because of the festival. It was just because of me, I guess. So I couldn't make them laugh. Yeah.
Were you using English or Japanese or both, mixing it up a bit?
Yeah, I did 23 shows in Fuji Rock. Then I did 4 shows in English and rest of them in Japanese. When I opened for Cure, I did in Japanese because I saw many Japanese audience in in their stage. Yeah.
Still, though, all across the U.S. and several countries around the world and back here in your home country, so even though perhaps you got swiped left a little bit, it sounds like you're smashing it. You're also starting to smash it here as well. Congratulations in appearing on Sunday Japan, which is a big,
thank you.
Yeah, it's a big variety talk show for my audience who doesn't know, on TBS. And I think you were just also recently on Viking on Fuji television. Yeah.
Yeah.
So good. I'd like to come back to something that you hinted at earlier when you saw Ryoko Ike and decided that you wanted to do stand-up comedy and you wanted to do it the way that it's done in the United States. So let's just say American-style stand-up comedy. You found that exciting and different from comedy in Japan, and I'd like to explore that with you. Could you help my audience understand in general what are some of the differences between comedy in Japan and comedy in America? You did talk about manzai already, but and Osaka is famous for it. But could you cover sort of what the differences are, basically?
Okay, so it's my understanding.
Okay.
As long as I know, so Japanese comedy always talk about our daily lives. For example, I went to 7-Eleven yesterday and blah, blah, blah happened. And, my husband is blah, blah, blah. Because we Japanese people kind of share the same lifestyle based on the same culture, I guess. So that's why our main topic is daily lives, and it can be the material to talk about. But as you know, in America, there's so many kinds of people shared on their own culture and lifestyle. So that's why they have so many genres and topics to talk about. So, for example, like even politics, and religion, even science, and the drug and sex, everything.
Right.
So I think that's one of the biggest difference between Japanese and American comedy. And people say that the Japanese comedy, especially has seen on TV, has no political satire or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's true too. And no satire, because I think satire is just like a knife.
Sure.
You can see the word in kanji, fushi.
Fushi, yes.
Yeah, it's just like a knife, right? But yeah, I think if they're like a divided world and culture, like in terms of, for example, race, like a white, black, Asian, Hispanic, we need knife to, heal and to make some joke about it. But in Japan, I mean, it's more like Mura culture, Mura society.
Like a village.
So we don't even need, we don't even need a knife. If we try to stab, it doesn't work. So that's why satire has not been big since 1970s, I guess.
It was big in the 70s and now it's not.
Actually, yeah, before like manzai boom in 1970s, satire and the political jokes were huge. And that kind of jokes and culture became like a mainstream in 50s, I guess.
And we've both used the word manzai a few times here. For my audience who doesn't know or isn't familiar with it, could you explain the basics of manzai? You're from Osaka and you're in comedy, so you'd be perfect to explain it. Yeah.
So I guess you can imagine Abbott and Costello style stand-up.
That's a good analogy, yeah.
Right there, like a straight man and a fool man. Then when fool man make a mistake, straight man correct the mistake, and people laugh together.
Right.
So
There's
that's basically manzai style, yeah.
there's a lot of puns involved as well, wordplay.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. So that's one of the main, topics they talk about. But also they speak like a really deep stuff based on their daily lives. And manzai culture has been really, really big. And there is a biggest Japanese comedy contest called M1 Grand Prix.
Yes.
That was really, that's really intense.
Sure. That's the form or style of comedy. Would you say, or what would you say, are the differences with audience members between Japan and the US and reactions?
Wow, that's completely different.
How so?
Because when I went to America for the first time and got up on stage, I thought audience and performers like face each other. It's not only like physically, but also like, mentally too. Yeah. So for example, like, we can understand that from, the comedy term too. So for example, in Japan, the funniest part of the joke is called ochi. It's like, I don't know how to explain ochi. Yeah.
Ochi. I guess you could just call
it's
it
like a down. Yeah, it's just jumping or jumping down or something like that in Japanese.
Right.
But in English, it's a punch, right?
Sure. Punch line. Yes.
Yeah, punch line. And also, for example, in Japanese,
that's an interesting observation.
Making people laugh, right?
Yeah.
And making people laugh in Japanese is ukeru, right? It's like a really passive, right?
Ukeru,
Possess.
Yes.
But in English, kill and destroy.
Right, kill and destroy. Yes.
So we comedians should punch and kill. That's our job. So when I came to America, I got surprised. Wow, that's really harsh.
Sure.
So, in Japan, all I had to do was like, I don't know, like get something from audience and, with like with jokes, like jumping from like something. Yeah.
That's a very interesting observation. Ukeru is a passive word. It means passively to accept or to have done to you.
Yeah.
And ochi, yes, you take it away from the climax of the joke, and that's the part that's funny.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Wow. I'm glad I asked that question. Why is, we talked about, the knife, fushi, the knife. Why is satire and irony, I guess criticism or caricature, why are these things not, or why is it rare in Japan? It could be also an effective tool.
Yeah. There are a lot of reasons, I guess. Yeah, I've been thinking since I was in college. Yeah, but it's same as, for example, like play. Like, I think it's connected with our history, politics too. I don't know how to explain in English, but in America, they're like, it's certain way that there are two parties, right? Like Republican and Democrat, right?
Yes.
But in Japan, always LDP was the main party. So that's why it's just like, I don't know, always the politics related entertainment were regarded as like a left-wing stuff, like a resistance stuff. So some people kind of stay away from that.
Right.
Yeah, that was one of the reasons, I guess. And also in terms of comedy, especially my parents' generation didn't want to talk about politics in public. That's not part of Japanese culture, I guess. But I'm afraid if our generation don't have any thoughts right now, probably my parents had their thoughts, but they didn't want to talk about it in public. But what if our generation have no thoughts right now.
They don't think about
Actually,
things.
yeah, actually, that's gonna be really dangerous in the future in Japan.
Yes, absolutely.
That's why I think stand-up comedy is really important to give opportunity to think about anything, if not only politics. So also
Right.
it's gonna be the good tool for healing division.
There's a lot of work to do to get people to think about these things because Japan is not as I don't think, anyways. I've lived here for a long time. I don't think Japan is as what's the word, homogenous.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I don't think it's as homogenous as it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
So how can you pry open the opportunity to use comedy here? Because I
Yeah.
agree with you. I don't think the younger people that I see actually think about their future or think about their country.
Yeah. Actually, we talked about manzai before,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Then so in manzai, so there's a straight guy and a fool guy said, and
Yes.
straight guy's job is to correct mistake of fool guy
Yes.
with a same perspective of audience member in the theater,
I
right?
see. Yes. Yes.
So that guy has the same perspective as all audience member in the theater.
Mm-hmm.
But now, as you said, it's a time of diversity.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that role will never work in the future
I
because
see.
it's almost impossible to share the same exact perspective as all of audience member as a one person, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's why I think manzai will be like just 1 month style, like
Right.
stand up,
Like stand up.
solo style. Yeah. So I mean, it's not. I'm not sure if it's ideal or not, but
Mm-hmm.
you know, even in Japan, we need a comedy which comedians shared our own perspective to the audience, and the audience can laugh at people whose opinion is different from them.
I watch on television or whatever Japanese comedy, but it's a lot of it seems to me to be slapstick,
Okay.
and maybe that's just a personal choice or sorry, a personal taste. But I don't really laugh very much. It's not a language problem because I watch and I can see most of it is using the body anyways, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? They slap each other in the head and they make jokes and then they laugh
Yeah.
out loud and all that. How, when people are used to that, how do you get people interested in the spoken form of comedy?
Okay, that's an interesting question. Actually, I traveled many countries,
Yes.
and people in the foreign country see Japanese comedy as slapstick or animated.
Yes.
Then, actually, I don't agree with it sometimes. There's some, animated and slapstick style of comedy, but we know how much our comedies like are deep. Like
Right.
we talk about deep stuff. So the interesting thing is Japanese people see American comedy as very slapstick.
Really?
So when Japanese scholar or a Japanese commentator talk about American comedy, they're like, hey, American comedy is very, very slapstick, and they always use facial expression. That's the American comedy. That's what they say. So I think my opinion is humor is really local, and they don't know the deep part of comedy of foreign country. So they just get the surface of comedy. So I think that's fine. Humor is local, and it's kind of nonsense to compare Japanese comedy and American comedy, like which is funnier. So in Japan, we can enjoy Japanese local comedy, and in America, we can enjoy, American comedy. That's why as an international comedian, all I have to do is to have multiple channels, like African channel, a Europe channel, American channel, and Japanese channel in Japanese. That's what I should do.
I see. And that's how you'll be bringing stand up to Japan in the future as well.
If I bring English comedy like what I do in America to Japan, definitely Japanese people will never understand and they will never like it. So like I was on the Japanese medias, like a Japanese radio a lot. And they asked me like, hey, could you tell me the difference between American comedy and Japanese comedy? Then I said American comedy is blah, blah, blah. Always some Japanese people made a comment on my timeline, like Facebook, Twitter, like, hey, I think American comedy is not funny. I don't think American comedy is funny. Japanese comedy is the best. I don't want to argue. I don't want to fight against that. I don't want to fight that kind of conversation because that's true. For Japanese people, Japanese comedy can be the funniest.
Sure.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah.
How much of that is dependent on language?
I guess 75%.
Which is a big thing.
Because, for example, like if I were a native speaker, for example, I studied in international school in Japan. If I never lived in the United States, I got up on stage in America, I kind of bomb for sure.
Really?
If my English is perfect. So, but as you know, my English is horrible, but I can get up on stage and can make people laugh because I know the kind of American culture. Yeah. So that's why language is 60 to 75%, I guess. Then the rest of them are like a street smartness.
Street smart, yes.
Yeah.
Which you are because you read the newspapers and walk the streets when you go to a new town.
Oh yeah, and I buy a guidebook about that country, and I get as much information as I can. Then I go to the like dive bar, local people hang out. Then I try my new material. Then if they like it, I'm gonna say on stage. Right. That's what I did in Africa and Europe.
I see. So you find, as a person who's not from that area, you find something that's unusual or unique, and see if the local people who live there have noticed it before, and if they haven't, it's something for the stage.
That's true. Yeah.
So I guess if you take that approach that we just spoke about, very interesting, and you brought stand-up comedy to Japan in a format that's, I guess, similar to the way it's done in the US, but sort of adapted for a Japanese market, you could change Japanese society a bit and maybe encourage young people to start thinking about stuff.
Yeah, if I can do that, that'd be really better.
Change society. And maybe even talk about some of the taboos in Japan, like talking about politics or religion or even race, because even though Japan has mostly Japanese people, there are still issues here. Speaking of taboos and society changing, I'm going to change topics. Paradoxically, America also has an increasing number of, taboos as well. On your podcast, you've talked about the cancel culture and how it affects comedy. You've been very careful not to have an opinion on it. You report on it. So I'm going to ask you your opinion. Cancel culture, what's going on?
Well, as you know, if anyone says like bad words and bad, even 10 years ago, 12 years ago, it's easy for us to get canceled. We're going to lose any job, upcoming shows, and we're going to get cut by the agency.
Right.
That's the cancel culture time right now. So, but that's why we should update ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm pretty sure I said something wrong in before, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because sometimes I didn't know anything about it, but I have changed myself, and like other people did.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's really important for me not to say we shouldn't say.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, then if we have to say something, I want to say it's very funny stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Does it make sense in English? Because it's really difficult to say in English. But yeah, if you have to say something, for example, if I want to say and speak out,
Mm-hmm.
I will say for sure. But finally,
Right. Well, obviously, that is exactly the problem in a way. You say it funnily, but funny is in the ear of the listener, and one person's humor is another person's insult, and that's a very gray zone, because you said we need to keep adapting and upgrading ourselves, which is true, and I agree with that to a degree, but who is the person who is deciding what you need to be adapted to? And it's not something that you can control, and yet you're a professional in comedy. How do you walk that line between, here is the way the wind is blowing, and I need to adapt my humor to that, but also you know how to be funny, and oftentimes a lot of people don't. And how do you walk the line between maintaining that edge of cutting into, we talked about cutting, right? Killing, cutting, maintaining the cut, but not harming people who, well, in my opinion, are sometimes a little bit too sensitive.
Yeah. Well, that's why, first of all, a comedian has to be really, really careful and has to know the borderline. Where is the edgy line, like borderline?
Yes.
And also, we have to get as much information as I can. That's why before I get up on stage, I every day read the newspapers to get information and keep learning. So, and also, once we know the borderline, our job is to aim the, I don't know, like edgy, like a, border.
Sure.
Then we cannot get afraid of the fire from audience.
Right.
So I make a rule not to apologize if people get mad. Especially what I said on stage.
Right. Well, you're very brave. I mean, you tied right into the whole Trump thing. You went into that. You had beer bottles thrown at you.
Oh yeah, that was like the Blues Brothers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Were you wearing your blue suit that day?
Oh no, just Ray-Ban sunglasses.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Yes. So you don't seem to have a problem diving right into the deep end, because you're in the heart of the cancel culture, and yet you talk about, not religion so much, but you certainly talk about race, you certainly talk about politics, and you talk about being from Japan and an outside perspective, sort of a observational humor.
Yeah, because that's the best way to tell people, from my own perspective as a Japanese and as a foreigner.
Right. My opinion is I don't like cancel culture. If you don't like the way that people speak on stage, go to a different person's show. Go see a different comedian. It's that simple. Well, it seems simple to me. I
think so. And I mean, too much cancel culture is not, I don't know, solving the problem.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I mean,
my thought.
If you go to a restaurant and they have 10 items on the menu, and one of those items is broccoli, and you hate broccoli.
Yeah.
Don't order the broccoli. You have 9 other items to choose from, or go to another restaurant. But what you don't do is boycott the restaurant, set up cars outside so nobody can get in, and hold a demonstration because you don't like broccoli and they serve broccoli. It's a really, really childish way of expressing frustration at things. That's what I think. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I was just wondering how you, as a comedian, managed to walk that line.
Yeah, but as a comedian, I don't want to hurt people with jokes based on what they cannot change. For example, like their race, their background, their, I don't know, like their gender. So that's kind of unprofessional for me.
Sure.
To talk about it, getting laughter.
Yes.
Yeah, to get laugh, that, I don't want to do that, and it's really unprofessional for me. That's why, as a comedian, for comedian too, there kind of 10 menus. Like we can talk about like anything,
Right.
So I don't have to choose broccoli.
Right.
If
Sure.
I hurt someone, that's why I rather choose anyone, like anything, like a cabbage or like Brussels sprout.
Sure. To extend the metaphor. Asian hate, which you've talked about on stage, and it's in the clip that we just showed. Is it really getting bad, or is it just getting reported more? What would be your perspective, because you are Asian?
Yeah. Luckily or fortunately, me personally, I've never had experienced like Asian hate to me.
Good.
Yeah. Also, like I don't know, I said to myself, it's not even Asian hate. For example, like even before pandemic, for example, I bumped into someone on the street and that guy said, some bad words to me. It's not because I'm Asian, just because I was a cell phone and I bumped.
I see.
So,
right.
But yeah, honestly, many of my friends in Chicago got like Asian hate.
I see.
Someone got thrown some people throw egg to my friend too. And
Throwing eggs?
That was horrible.
My God.
Yeah, I think better than beer bottle though.
Yes, sure enough.
But yeah, anyways, so Asian hate crime has been big, I guess.
And people are getting canceled for their comments as well, like what's his name?
Tony Hinchcliffe.
Tony Hinchcliffe. Also Billie Eilish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was kind of different cancel culture.
Yes.
Obviously,
Very
it was
different.
their fault.
Yes.
It was their fault, and
Yeah, it was a bit over the top. I'm changing topics. Is there anything specific that you learned from your early start in baseball that has either helped you or furthers your career in stand-up? Is there something that you were able to bring from baseball that you can use? I'm not talking about specific neta. I'm talking about what you learned, your discipline maybe?
Well, actually, baseball discipline made me as a comedian. Made myself. Many things. For example, I don't know, like my father always told me, even if I can't hit, I cannot get any hit on that day. All we gotta do is to keep swinging on the bat, right? So it's the same, in comedy too. Even if I cannot make people laugh on that day, I should shuffle and I should keep doing. And someday I can get a big home run. And if we win the game, I'm gonna be the hero.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I gotta believe it.
Do you know when you walk on the stage, do you get a general sense of the mood of the audience and whether or not you're gonna bomb or you're gonna kill?
Well, there's some moments, but usually first 45 seconds would be the key for me.
I see.
I want to relate it to the audience. I want to, yeah. So I feel like I'm a captain. So people are on board. So as a captain, if they enjoy a ride and our journey, no matter what I say, they like me. But if someone jump onto the ocean already, I cannot do anything.
Right, they're off the ship.
That's why, first joke, for example, like the hero bit is really important for me.
Sure. How do you deal with hecklers?
Well, that's the hardest part for me because sometimes people are so drunk that I don't understand what they say. Especially it's my second language, right?
Yes.
So I was like, hey, could you talk to my Siri so that I can understand?
I see. Right.
But for me, English is not a first language, so I have to prepare more.
Sure.
Yeah. So than other comedians do. That's why it's just like I don't know, withdrawer. I have to put so much information on the withdrawer, and I can pick it up.
You can pull it out of the filing cabinet as you need it.
Yeah. So that's the most important thing for me to do that.
What's the most challenging thing about stand-up in the whole package when you think about it? What's the most challenging for you?
Well, it's a really good question, but I guess I don't know. Like stand-up is really simple entertainment, right? We just talk. So that's why audience can see me very well as a person.
Yes.
Everything like personality, like a history of myself. That's why I can't lie as a person. That's why if I'm not a good person or funny person, easily audience can get it and they don't laugh. That's why as a stand-up comedian, the most important part and the hardest part is to grow as a human being.
Would another word for that be authenticity, being genuine?
Yeah.
So
I think it's connected to originality too.
I see. Do you get a lot of repeat viewers or audience members who come to see all of your shows, or?
Yeah, that's why I have to keep writing new jokes. Yeah, that's the hardest part. So I write the jokes and I go to an open mic, or I try to show my best friend, like my best friend comedian, whose name is Drew. And
shout out to Drew.
Yeah, Drew, thank you. Yeah, and we see our new material each other via Zoom. He's based in New York. And we met in a Seattle International Comedy Competition in 2018, and he was the winner. Then we just realized we were born in exactly same day, same year.
Wow!
And he played baseball in minor league.
Oh, doppelganger.
So we became best friends.
Right.
Yeah. Like he's my American twin.
American twin, yes, exactly. So you had time to write, and you wrote a book called Get Up, Stand Up. It's in Japanese. Is that at all inspired by the Bob Marley song with the same title?
No. Actually, it just means, of course, I like Bob Marley, but it's more like, stand-up culture in Japan is still young and new. That's I'm like, hey, please get up stand-up comedy culture. That's what I meant.
I see.
And if we search the title of the book in Amazon, I think too many Bob Marley stuff.
Yes.
Then
Yes.
no one can find my book. So, but I like the title.
Are you going to make an English version of that?
Actually, I've been thinking because my editor wants to do it.
You see. And
Yeah.
is there a Netflix special in the works after you've played with writing the book in English?
Honestly,
Hmm.
my goal
Mhm.
is to be on my Netflix special in 3 years, and I don't think it's impossible.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if I keep doing what I do right now, I definitely get an opportunity to be on a big stage,
Mm-hmm.
and I should be ready for it.
Well, I hope it works out. Our time has gone by so very quickly today. Just a couple more questions to end with, and let you get off to your gig. You have a gig tonight, right?
Oh yeah, I do.
Yes. If there were one thing about Japan
Mhm.
that you wish everyone in America knew more about, what would that be?
Well, I don't know. Like I have too much emotion for Japan, but
That's okay.
but honestly, I guess I think like when I ask what do you like, what is your favorite Japanese culture to American friends? They say something like food, anime, like blah blah blah.
Yes.
But I think for me, Japanese culture, especially main part of Japanese culture is people.
Mm-hmm.
Especially like people is warm.
Mm-hmm.
Like people are so warm, especially in the countryside of Japan.
Yes.
They welcome and they open arms for everyone, and that's my favorite Japanese culture. So when they come to Japan, when my American friends, when my friends overseas come to Japan, I want them to go to like a local part of Japan, and I want them to interact with local people.
Mm-hmm.
That's, I think, the true Japan. Yeah.
Right. It's one of the reasons I created the RONJIRU Japan podcast.
Yeah. Right? Because anime and Tokyo is like a metropolitan. It's a part of Japan, but it's not everything for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Also, like I like this so many kinds of green in Japan. Like I thought it's like a gradation of green in Japan, especially my hometown.
Mm-hmm.
So I really love the rural area of Japan.
Absolutely. Me too. It's sometimes tough to just live in the city if you can't get out to see the green.
Yeah. Nightlife is also fun though.
The nightlife is fun in the city, yes.
Yeah.
And there's comedy clubs in the city too.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes. I'm just going to end with this, and again, I thank you for your time. We've all heard the expression, laughter is the best medicine.
Mm-hmm.
What is your stand-up comedy helping to cure?
Well, I guess my stand-up is going to be the good chance for people to think about any topic. And it's going to be the medicine for healing the division, especially like I don't know, like conflict with people who has different opinion. Because stand-up comedy's best part is we can laugh at some people whose opinion is different from yours.
Sure.
Yeah, that's why I keep doing what I do with jokes and laughter.
Very important in Japan. Saku Yanagawa, thank you for your time today, joining us on the RONJIRU Japan podcast. I've really enjoyed speaking with you.
Thank you so much.
Make me one promise. When you get signed to appear on Saturday Night Live, please send me an email and let me know.
For sure. I'd love to do it. Let's keep in touch.
Best of luck to you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much.
Thanks for joining us on the RONJIRU Japan podcast. For more insights on Japan from people who know Japan, be sure to subscribe to the podcast right now and check out our website at www.ronjirujapan.com. That's www.ronjirujapan.com. Links to all our content are on the website and in the description for this episode, including links to Facebook and Twitter and our YouTube channel, which also has a variety of videos in addition to regular episodes. Please subscribe, follow, and share. I look forward to talking to you again in the next episode. From RONJIRU Japan in Tokyo, I've been your host JT. Until next time, o genki de ne.